Hello everyone. Now we are moving to next topic, which is associated with the resources. Resources are specifically mentioned in paper 2 at chapter number 2. But there are few topics of the resources that are also part of your economic geography, that is paper 1. Regularly questions being asked, obviously it's a scope, the proportion of these resources and related topics is continuously increasing in your paper 2. So, more and more questions are being asked, and but in paper 1 also regularly you will get one question either of 15 marker or of 20 marker. So, there will be high chances that you will get a question of 15 or 20 marker. Now, first of all, we'll try to have a brief idea that what is resources. In general, resources are something which have lots of characteristics. One of the very important characteristics is they fulfill our needs. So, they are something which fulfills our needs, the needs of the humans. It can be natural, it can be a man-made. The whole meaning of this natural resources, have been almost revised, or you can say revolutionized by the great Zimmermann. It was the Zimmermann in 1933 when he has given the concept of resources, and later on it has also been incorporated in the geography. So, in geography with the same concept we have incorporated, that is related to the resources, and the very famous line of Zimmermann that resources are not, they become, is very useful for us, especially in case of geography. The concept of phantom pile is also very much associated with this one. Simply, most of the things are available on this earth surface. So, most of the things is available on the earth surface, and when it is available on the earth surface, when it is naturally present, so that will be considered as thing only. It will considered as resources whenever it will have some functionality, the functional aspect. And how the functionality or the functional aspect will evolve? The functional aspect or the functionality will only evolve when the humans have capability to extract it. So, coal, if you will look out the coal as a resource, in the modern time coal is very important resource, iron ore is very important resource, but the coal and iron ore, they have been formed very early on this planet, even before the evolution of the humans. So, even before the oncoming of the humans, before the Pleistocene time period, these things have been evolved, these things have been formed, but the humans were able to extract these things very lately, and once we have started extracting the things, then only we will get to know that this is the resources. Similarly, we have the sedimentary rock, and from the sedimentary rock we are extracting the coal, we are extracting the petroleum, natural gas. So, in earlier time period, almost not very early, but in let us say 60 years ago, 100 years ago, we were having idea of only coal, petroleum and natural gases, and the most widely present the sedimentary rock happens to be the shale rock. So, the shale rock was also there, but earlier we were not having the technology, we were not having the efficiency, we are not having that kind of sophisticated methodology to extract some of the shale gas from that shale rock. So, that was not the resource. But the moment we get to know that this is through this also we can extract some of the gas, and which we can utilize for the generation of power, that will become resource. Similarly, hydrogen happens to be one of the very important component, one of the very important chemical. So we have hydrogen gas that were prevalent earlier also, but of lately only we get to know that how the hydrogen can be utilized, for the utilization, for the extraction of the energy. And when we have learned to extract the energy from the hydrogen, then only we will get to know about the utility of hydrogen. So in that sense, the resources are not, they become. Until unless they are becoming, they are simply considered as the things. So it is the only thing when it will have some functionality, when it is having some characteristic to fulfill the needs, the demands of the humans, of the animals, then only it will be considered as resources. Then only it will be considered as resources. As far as phantom pile is concerned, the phantom pile is mostly associated with that thing which might be, it is having some characteristics. So when it is having the characteristics, so it is considered as the resources. So we are considering it as a resource, but the resource nature will also change, and this nature of the resource will change, the utilization of the resource will change only with the advancement in the technology. So the technology that we are using, that is simply referred as phantom pile. Let's try to understand in very simplistic manner. We all must have some idea about the data technology. So how the internet technology, internet is being used mostly in terms of the mobile internet. So you must be knowing, almost most of you will able to relate. Just if you will look out the 8 to 10 years time period, that how this technological advancement has happened, then you will find this 8 to 10 years ago we were having only 2G technology. तो हमारे पास केवल 2G टेक्नोलॉजी थी. So in that 2G technology, if you want, let's say 1 GB data, for that you need to pay 300 rupees, 400 rupees. But over the period of time, when this new technological development has evolved, let's say from the 2G we have shifted to 3G, then we have the 4G, and now we are moving toward the 5G. So this technological advancement is actually improving the way we are communicating, the way the transfer of the files, the transfer of the data. Now most of the equipments that were used in the 3G, they were more or less same. So the same line of transmission was there, but due to just upliftment, enhancement of the technology, we have started using it in much better manner. One more example. Let's suppose that petrol is there, and for 1 liter petrol you will have a vehicle, might be it's a car or it's a two-wheeler. So 1 liter it's giving, let's say, 50 kilometer per liter mileage. Now there has been improvement, now there has been a new engine that has been discovered. So if the new engine that has been discovered, that has been almost manufactured, and now this engine is capable of utilizing, has become more efficient. So might be it's quite possible the same 1 liter petrol now is sufficient to give 70 kilometer mileage. So now the point, try to understand, the petrol was the same, the 1 liter petrol. So earlier 1 liter petrol was giving 50 kilometer mileage, and now the 1 liter petrol is giving 70 kilometer mileage. So in this manner you will find the same petrol was having 20 kilometer of the capability to give the extra mileage. So जो ये 20 kilometer है, that is a hidden. पेट्रोल में है लेकिन हमें नहीं पता. Once there will be a technological advancement, then we'll get to know. This 20 kilometer will be referred as phantom pile. This 20 kilometer will be referred as phantom pile. Let's try to understand with one more example. In earlier time period, when we were manufacturing the iron and steel. So for the steel manufacturing, we were requiring almost one quantity of iron ore, 5 quantity of coal. So for manufacturing one quantity of steel, we were requiring 5 quantity of coal. It can be for 1 kg 5 kg, for 1 ton 5 ton, for 100 kg 500 kg. So, 1 quantity 5 quantity. Over the period of time there has been enhancement in the technology. So, with the technological development, mostly what has happened, we have started utilizing the energy through the hydrothermal energy through other means. So, in that case the same one quantity of steel now it can be produced by simply almost 2 quantity of coal. So, if the 2 quantity of coal can produce 1 quantity of steel, so it simply means that 5 quantity of coal now can produce 2.5 quantity of steel. In other word, you can say earlier we were using 5 kg of coal. So, we were using 5 kg of coal to produce 1 kg of steel, and now we are using 5 kg of coal and we are getting 2.5 kg of steel. So, कोल तो वही है, कोल नहीं बदला, लेकिन सेम कोल से पहले हम 1 किलो स्टील बना रहे थे, अब 2.5 kg स्टील बना रहे हैं. सो दिस कोल इज हैविंग सम हिडन पोटेंशियल and that hidden potential will be referred as phantom pile. That hidden potential is referred as phantom pile. In fact, most of the resources that are existing on this earth surface, is simply phantom pile. Even this is not only applicable to the natural resources, even the human resources, the thought, the knowledge. So, let us suppose that, try to understand, let us suppose that you have done the graduation. So, once you have done the graduation, you will be eligible for some of the jobs. तो अगर आप जॉब के लिए गए, so might be you are getting, you will be offered 30,000 rupees per month, right? So, you have been offered 30,000 rupees per month, but you have done some of the courses, you have joined some of the program, you have done the graduation only. आपकी qualification graduation ही है, but you have done some extra program, some course, something, anything you have done, and then you are going and applying the job and you are being offered 50,000 per month. So, you also have some phantom pile, you also have some hidden potential, but the point is that how the hidden potential will be almost extracted, that is mostly mostly associated with the technological advancement, So, these things you need to be very clear, and this is the thing on which we used to go for the improvement in the energy efficiency, improvement in the resource efficiency. So, whatever we are having present time period, we will try to keep on improving, we will try to make it more efficient, productivity we will try to increase, Obviously, this phantom pile concept was more associated with the economic aspect, less associated with the geographical aspect. So, resources are simply having some functional characteristic, some functional aspect. Now, what are the resources? So, resources have very widespread, it's a very widespread concept. So, it is not a narrow concept. We have lot of things on the earth surface which can be resources. So, each and everything which is having capability, which is having some form of the characteristic, to fulfill the needs, so which can be extracted, which can be utilized. So, all the things can be referred as the resources, and it can be tangible, it can be intangible. So, we have a very large list of the resources, but some of the resources that you need to focus on for your examination purpose happens to be agriculture as a resource, So agriculture as a resources, then you will have soil as a resource, then you will have minerals as a resource, mineral fuel as a resource, forest as a resource, water as a resource. So these are some of the important resources that you need to focus, and questions regularly will be asked from these resources. Agriculture and minerals, we will try to have discussion in case of particularly or in a different session, agriculture and industry topic. Here we will try to have some discussion related to the mineral fuels and also water. But let me tell you in general, what should be your approach in case of resources? What should be your approach in case of resources? As far as the resource geography is concerned, whatever the resources it is having, whenever you will study the resources for the geography, so what should be your approach to study in general? First of all, you need to have some idea about the present condition. So whatever the resource you will have, you should have some idea about the present condition, and present condition simply refers to the availability. So in availability you will find we have the factual aspect. What is the amount of energy that we have available? What is the amount of coal that we have available? What is the amount of water that we have available? So in availability, obviously you can look out some data fact, but more important, data fact is obviously important. Data fact will give impression to the examiner that you are well informed. But more important is distribution. This distributional aspect will give your whole orientation of studying these resources. This will give it to geographical orientation. So in the topics of the resources, do not try whenever you will write the answer. So don't just try to just bring some of the thinkers' name, just some of the quoting some of the philosophers, and you will expect that you will get the good marks. That is not going to happen. So rather than just trying to incorporate some thinkers, some philosopher, try to incorporate the approach. Try to incorporate the approach, that is distribution. So ज़्यादा focus आपका distribution होगा. Now once you have identified the present condition, then next thing is your problem. So let's suppose that you will have a energy. So if we have the sources of energy, we have the coal, petroleum and natural gas. So if we have the availability of energy, so what is the problem that we are facing? If we are not facing any problem, so the story will end. अगर कोई problem नहीं है, हमारे पास resources है, you will study the distribution, the story will close. No further question will be asked. So question will be asked only when there is some problem. Now when there is some problem associated it, so you need not to generalize the problem, because if you will look out problem can be general, but your solution or the orientation of looking the problem will not be general, because if that will be general, obviously you are not going to get good mark. So first of all, you need to look out that whether there is a problem. If the problem is there, then this problem you need to look out in regional approach. In regional approach. Let me give you an example, उससे आप अच्छा समझेंगे. Let's say we have a availability of, or we have energy supply. So we have energy availability in the form of coal. So coal is a very good source of energy, and majority of our energy demand, majority of our electricity demand is fulfilled through the coal. ठीक है. अब बात आती है प्रॉब्लम की. वी हैव लॉट्स ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स रिलेटेड टू द कोल, लेकिन हम एक प्रॉब्लम देखते हैं, दैट इज अवेलेबिलिटी. सो देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ कोल. देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ कोल. अब अगर हम कह रहे हैं अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ कोल है, सो क्या थ्रू आउट द कंट्री वी हैव द सेम प्रॉब्लम? Like in last few months, you must have come across that there is a coal crisis. The India is facing a coal crisis. So when you are looking that India, when you are writing the India is looking as a coal crisis, it's a gross generalization. It is not going to fetch you good marks. So when you will do the analysis, in that analysis you need to look out that, let's say, India is having different thermal power plants, and most of the thermal power plants that are located nearby the coastal area, these thermal power plants are mainly depending on the imported coal, whereas some of the power plants that are located interior part, they are being dependent on the domestic coal supply. So the power plant that are based on the domestic coal supply, they are feeling less heat. Why? Because the domestic coal to hamara, that is not, of course there will be a price rise, there will be some other issues can be there, but most of the coal crisis that the whole world is witnessing is in the wake of Russia-Ukraine crisis. So in the wake of Russia-Ukraine crisis, throughout the world is facing the coal crisis. So that coal crisis will be going to more affect our the thermal power plant that is located in the coastal area. Also it can be affecting our the steel plants. Which steel plant? That steel plant is not located nearby the coal producing centers. So the steel plant like Salem steel plant, steel plant like Bhadravati steel plant, steel plant like your Visakhapatnam steel plant, Visvesvaraya steel plant. So these steel plant will get more affected as compared to Bhilai, Durgapur, you will have the Tisco. So when you will even highlight the problem, when you will analyze the problem, in your analysis itself, there should be a regional approach. And when you will show the regional approach, then only the examiner will get convinced that yes, your approach is geographical. You are looking the problems from the geography lens. You are not just looking the problem, what you have just simply read in your newspaper or what you have just read somewhere else. This is how your the same problem, which is a generalized problem, which is almost everyone can think of it. Everyone can think of it. Some of the student who is not from the geography optional, they can also tell you lot of things about the coal crisis. But if the question is being asked about the coal crisis, discuss the present coal crisis in the wake of Russia-Ukraine war. So when you are writing in the geography optional and someone is writing in the GS who is not having the geography background, so how you will make a difference? So the difference will not be made, the difference cannot be made by simply quoting the Karl Ritter. The difference cannot be made by simply quoting the Zimmerman. उसको करने से आप एग्जामिनर को पागल नहीं बना सकते. एग्जामिनर इज अ वेरी यू कैन से एक्सपीरियंस जोग्राफर, तो उसको भी पता चलेगा कि वेयर देर इज नो नीड ऑफ कोटिंग द फिलोसोफर्स, यू आर जस्ट ब्रिंगिंग द एकेडमिक पर्सपेक्टिव. बीए के एमए के एग्जामिनेशन में वो आपको हेल्पफुल करेगा, बट नॉट इन केस ऑफ यूपीएससी, नॉट इन केस ऑफ यूपीएससी. All right, so this is very generalized suggestion. This is very generalized suggestion, and it will be helpful in entire resources. So it is not only applicable for the coal. अगर आप agriculture का लिखेंगे, if you are writing about the forest, if you are writing about the issues related to the water issues, so if you will have the question is being asked that India is facing a very extreme form of the groundwater depletion problem. Suggest some of the measures and also the governmental scheme that the government has launched. So if you will simply keep on writing about the groundwater depletion in a generalized manner, the chances will be that you will not get very good marks. So you will get good marks when you will try to almost bifurcate. Let's say yes, we have the groundwater depletion, but the groundwater depletion is more in case of northern India or peninsular India. Even you have identified that it is more severe in case of peninsular India because of the particularly the physiographic area, the geological structure of that area. Uske baad bhi you need to go further. You need to look out that in which season you will have the peninsula is having more affected through this groundwater or the northern plain. If the northern plain is not having the if the northern plain is not having the large scale groundwater problem, but whether it is in entirely in northern plain or only in we have some rural urban divide. So your whole focus should be on the distribution. जब भी आप रिसोर्स की बात करेंगे, एग्रीकल्चर, इंडस्ट्री, your water issues, your trade, transport, communication, your coal, petroleum, natural gas, whatever you are writing in the paper to, your entire focus should be to just think some of the in regional manner in terms of distribution. How it will be different from the different area. Point number one. Point number two, whenever you are writing the questions related to these topics in your paper 1, don't hesitate to bring this regional approach in paper 1 also. So if the question is about the energy crisis, do not just try to write about, do not just think that if it is being asked in paper 1, so I am forced to write the energy crisis of the world, और जो हमने किताब में पढ़ा है the energy crisis वही लिख रहे हैं. If the question is about the energy crisis, write about the energy crisis which we are facing, which contemporary world is facing. Examiner is more interested in knowing that, because it's not simply the test of what is written in the book and just extracting and just almost writing. Because if the examiner is more interested in that, if examiner is more interested in checking your remembering your conceptual clarity, so examiner will ask question like industrial location theory of Weber. Examiner will ask more question related to the von Thünen. Examiner will ask more related to the growth pole, growth center, core periphery. So examiner have lots of static concept, वहाँ से पूछेगा. So if the examiner is asking the energy crisis, so examiner is almost interested in knowing that what energy crisis the India is facing. So you don't hesitate, don't have this kind of misconception कि हम तो paper 1 लिख रहे हैं, why to write something, some information that we have learned from the paper 2. No. All right. Quickly we'll have some discussion. So the first discussion will start from the same energy crisis. Energy crisis. Now, as far as energy crisis is concerned, obviously when we say energy crisis, so this topic in general it's a part of our syllabus, and in general when energy crisis is being discussed, so there is the demand of energy and there is supply of energy. So whenever the demand will be more and supply will be lesser, so demand is more, supply will be lesser, definitely there will be heat, there will be pressure, and that pressure will turn into almost crisis whenever there will be some unexpected situation. And now the question arises that why we have this supply is in general is lesser as compared to demand. So in that case you will have so many reasons like you will have the distribution of these resources, because energy is primarily harnessed in general through this coal, petroleum, natural gas. So energy we have also in the modern time categorized in two manner, that is non-renewable and renewable. Also we have one more categorization like non-conventional. So most of the renewable is your non-conventional and conventional energy sources. So conventional is only which is easily available and which is easily harnessed. So the conventional energy sources Non-renewable energy sources, we have the coal, petroleum and natural gases. So, first the problem of the supply is these resources are not equally distributed on the planet. So, these resources are distributed differently. So, these resources are distributed differently on the planet, and similarly these resources are distributed differently in case of our country. So, first of all, distribution is different, distribution is uneven. On top of it, distribution is uneven. So, still there are a lot of places where the large quantity of these non-renewable resources are present, and these non-renewable resources are being extracted. After the extraction, the countries that are rich in that particular natural resources, they export these resources to different countries. Different part of the world, with the advancement of the society, with the advancement in the technology, humanity, through overall development, the demand for the energy have increased many-fold. So, demand of energy have increased many-fold, because if you will try to relate, if you will try to think of this meaning of advancement, you will find in the present time period, the most important thing is your energy. Whatever the level of development you can have, whatever the level of development you can have, be it related to the infrastructure, be it related to the human, be it related to the communication, किसी भी फील्ड में आप देख लीजिए, किसी भी फील्ड में आप देख लीजिए, जो भी डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है इन एंटायर वर्ल्ड, it will be primarily run on the energy. So, if we are communicating, it is being run on the energy. If we are talking on the phone, so definitely energy is required. Energy is required in whatever the form. We want to travel, we want to commute from one place to another place. We have the metro, we have the railways, we have the airplanes, we have whatever the mode of transport you can have, it is based on the energy. So, energy is needed. And industries are being run, the infrastructure projects are being executed. So, everything is being based on the energy. So, energy demand have increased many-fold, and in this demand, increasing demand, definitely more and more extraction of the energy is being done. Now, once the extraction is being done, that is the natural phenomena. So, in general there is a energy, you can say, pressure. So, in normal situation there is a energy pressure. But whenever any unwanted situation, any unforeseen situation will arise, so in that case, this energy pressure, the energy pressure will result into energy crisis. Energy crisis, like in the recent Russia-Ukraine crisis. Russia happens to be one of the leading producers of the natural gas. So, when you will have this Russia-Ukraine crisis, and there has been lots of restrictions put on Russia by the European Union and the USA, obviously this energy crisis will deepen. So, India has also faces the heat. So, within that backdrop, this energy crisis topic is going to be very important. In general, if you will look out the problems or regions of over crisis, then you will find that we have overpopulation. So, most important reason. Then you will have overpopulation. You can also highlight the population growth rates of countries like India. So, India is second largest country of the world, having around 18% of the population. Just recently, United Nations population expectations is suggesting that by 15th November 2022, India will become the largest country. So, in that way, our energy demand is continuously increasing. Then you will have overconsumption. Demand of energy is increasing many-fold for individually. So, earlier people were just using the electricity and at max at the family level, at the domestic, at the household level, at max they were using the television. Then you will have the televisions, and after that you will have the your refrigerator. But in the wake of this global warming, temperature is rising, and most of the people are using air condition, and air conditions are almost in almost entire country, be it your rich, be it your middle class, everyone's demand of energy is increasing year upon year. Earlier people were having one AC, so next year they will install one more AC. After few years they will install one more AC. So the requirement of energy is increasing. On top of it, you will have the COVID-19. It has changed also a lot of things. So people were using more laptops, computers, smartphones, iPads, internet. So almost in all these, the increase we have seen manifold, and all these are being run on the energy. So there is a over consumption of the energy. Other than this, also you will have in energy crisis some of the natural disasters, civil wars. So natural disasters, be it your the place where most of the extraction of the energy is happening, any natural disasters will result into supply disruption, and if the supply disruption will happen, energy crisis will happen. Civil wars, most of the places which are rich in energy, most of the places which are rich in supply of the these energy sources, they are also having some of the problems of internal wars, some of the rebellions problems. Then you will have the wars, so like what we are witnessing in case of Russia-Ukraine crisis. So these are some of the issue, and in case of cases in particularly country like India, then you will have wastage in transmission, then you will have efficiency is also very important problem. So like the phantom pile that I have suggested. So we have a lots of region, we have a lots of causes of energy crisis. Now, so this is a in general discussion. This is a in general discussion. This is in general pointers that you can write. Now, coming to the bigger aspects, or you can say more important discussions related to energy. So we know that energy is very important. So energy is very important in that sense. There is a very important aspect is energy security. Like you must have come across with the financial security. So social security, financial security. So like financial security and social security is needed for the survival or to live a dignified life. Similarly, you can say over the period of time, the financial security and the social security is in the ambit of Article 22 of our Constitution. Similarly, this energy security is also very important. And in this energy security, what are the different components? First of all, availability, accessibility, affordability. Availability, it should be available. So it is not like that you want electricity and there is no electricity. So availability should be there. Also it should be accessible. So it should not be only available to the rich people or only people living in the urban area. So you need to analyze that whether this accessibility part is fine for our country or not. In accessibility also you can clearly see there is a gap. So there is a gap in our country, and this gap in our country that is existing in case of energy, you can say we have energy divide. We have energy divide. Energy divide is at different level. So we have the rural urban divide. Rural people are having less accessibility of energy as compared to urban people. Within the urban area, you will find we have the rich versus poor. Within the urban area, you will have the rich versus poor division. Then you will have the, within the country, you will have hilly versus non-hilly. In hilly area, you will have more availability of energy, and if you will have more availability of energy, so clear accessibility as compared to the non-hilly area. So in non-hilly area, the availability of energy is comparatively lesser. Not only this hilly and non-hilly, also in case of western and peninsular region, we have a very comparatively higher availability of energy as compared to the central part of our country. So we have a energy divide: rural urban, rich poor, hilly non-hilly, and also you can say western and southern versus northern area. So this is how you need to analyze. In general, if you will just write accessibility, so that is not going to almost fetch you. You are not supposed to write elaborative manner. तो बहुत ज़्यादा इस पे नहीं लिखना, but you need to bring this point. You need to bring this point, and you need to almost showcase that yes, you are looking the whole India map from above, and you are looking out that this area you will have more energy, this area you will have less energy. So this is your issue of accessibility. Now, these are the three very important aspects of the energy security. We have one more aspect which I will discuss. So the third is affordability. Now in this affordability क्या है कि affordability that it should not be available, as I said, that it should not be only for the rural people, only for the rich people. It should be also available for the not available only for urban or rich people. It should also be available for the rural and poor. तो उसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? Government should provide the supply. Government should come into the picture. So we have the good governance aspect. We can give the example some of the places like Delhi. So Delhi is providing the free electricity for the people, that is irrespective of rich or poor, they are simply have provision of 100 units free electricity. So this kind of exercise can be also replicated by the different states. That can be done. So definitely affordability is being taken care. Now there is a bigger issue of the global warming, climate change. So we know that the majority of the places throughout the world, the most important source of energy extraction, energy production is your coal. So coal is the most important, most easy source of the energy production, and majority of our global warming, most of our global warming problem is caused by the burning of coal and other particularly fossil fuels. तो सबसे ज़्यादा जो प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हुई है वो बर्निंग ऑफ कोल से ही हुई है. Because of burning of coal, fossil fuel, there is an increase in the greenhouse gases, and due to the increase in the greenhouse gases, they are trapping more and more, particularly your outgoing radiation. Because they are trapping more and more outgoing radiation, there is an overall increase in the temperature. There is an overall increase in the temperature, and this increase in the temperature is not only limited to the increasing temperature, it is affecting the whole earth, whole humanity. So we have different phenomena, like you will have the melting of glacier, you will have the sea level rise, change in the cropping pattern, then you will have the change in the behavior of the flora and fauna. So बहुत सारे changes you must be knowing. Now in the backdrop of this, we need energy. We need energy security, but also we cannot rely on only that source of energy which is already there. So we cannot only look out, if let's suppose that India wants more energy, तो हमें ज़्यादा energy देनी है, because a lot of people in our country still they are not having the availability of accessibility of energy. So forget about the other form of the energy, even they are not having the energy to just have a which can give them electricity in their house. So even they are not having the electrification in their houses. Of course, as per government record, almost 100% electrification we have achieved in 2019 itself. So government ke record ke according 100% electrification India has achieved in 2019 only. But having the poles and the wires doesn't mean that is the electrification. Electrification will only be said to be when the people are getting the electricity for sufficient hours. And in fact, in true sense, it can be said to be electrified when the people are having the 365 days, 24 hours power supply, which is almost not available in majority of the urban area in our country, where the Of course, in some of the metropolitan cities where most of the big private players are there you can have the possibility of this. Otherwise, in entire country, nowhere you will find that we have the 365 days into 24 hours power supply. Not even in Delhi, not even in Mumbai, not even in Bangalore, not even in Chennai. So nowhere, irrespective of the places. So don't have this kind of misconception. So if you are, let's say, living, you are connecting from any other places, and you will have this perception that in Mumbai and in Bangalore or in Delhi you will have the 24-hour into 365 days supply of the electricity, uninterrupted supply. So that is not the case. So in true sense, the electrification will only be successful when this will happen. But anyway, in general, we cannot afford to just extract the electricity, extract the energy from the coal. So we need to look out some other sources. Which is the other sources? Renewable sources. So we need to look out the renewable sources like solar, like wind, like biofuels, like geothermal, like the tidal forces. So these are some of the renewable sources on which we need to look out. So we have other aspect is sustainability. It should be efficient. In other words, you can say it should be a clean energy. So these are the four very important component of the energy security. These are the four very important component of the energy security. So whenever we are thinking to provide the solutions for the energy crisis, we need to look out these different aspect of the energy security. These different aspect of the energy security. And this sustainability, efficient, clean energy is not only because the global warming, yes, that is obviously reason, but in the backdrop of that, we also have different agreement, like you will have the Paris Agreement. So now it is mandated for the country like India, because we have submitted our INDC. So as per intended nationally determined contribution, we have submitted that yes, we are going to shift our some of the energy production to other sources also. So this is very important, this is obligation also. So we have energy security, energy divide, also energy diversification. India has submitted to INDC and it has said that it has committed that 40% of our energy demand, we are committed to produce our 40% of our energy demand from renewable sources by 2030. So our target is to make it 40%, by 2030. Presently, if you will look out, the present situation is that we are having 25%. So 25% of our present energy demand is being fulfilled through the renewable sources. So within that backdrop, we will find yes, to certain extent we are on the right track. You can write in general a line. International Energy Agency suggests that the key solution to today's energy crisis, and to get a and to get on track for net zero emissions is a dramatic scaling up of energy efficiency and clean energy. Also, International Energy Agency IEA has released its India Energy Outlook 2021 report. So, first let us have some pointers from that report, then we will come back to this energy divide, energy security, energy diversification. So, few important pointers from India Energy Outlook 2021 report. Please write. India will be third largest energy consumer by 2030 by surpassing European Union. Presently, it is the fourth largest. Majority of our demand for energy will be for industrial activity. Also, most of our energy demands, specifically related to the domestic oil, specifically related to the oil and gas, is fulfilled through the import. Next point. India's oil demand will rise to 8.7 million barrels per day, 8.7 million barrels per day by 2040. And most of this demand will be due to five-fold increase in per capita car ownership. Five-fold increase in per capita car ownership. All right. So, these are the few pointers from the that Energy Outlook 2021. Now, coming back to the discussion, if you will look out the present situation, in the present situation you will find In the present situation, you will find almost 52% of the energy, 52% of the energy is being harnessed from the 52% of energy is being harnessed from (52.60) is harnessed from the coal, and 12% around from the hydro, around 6% through the gas, very small proportion from the petroleum, diesel, and around 25% from the renewable. This is the present situation. In renewable also, out of the total 100 gigawatt, almost 50% of the energy in renewable is being produced from the solar energy. It is being produced through the solar energy, and around 34% is from wind energy, around 10% from biomass, 6% around the small hydro project. So, it is of the renewable. This is our present situation. In terms of, if you will look out the total, so in renewable our present production is 100 gigawatt. It's a 100 gigawatt. Now, this is the present data, but in the present data the more important is, as I said for you, to know that where you will have different capabilities. Obviously, we want energy diversification, but for that energy diversification, we need to know that in these areas, what is the more obvious? So, you need to know that the coal. So, coal distribution is mostly related to the majorly Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, Maharashtra. So, in most of the peninsular area we have the coal, and the coal is primarily distributed in the river valleys. So, we have the Narmada river valley, we have the Son river valley, Damodar river valley, Godavari river valleys. So, in most of the river valleys you will have the majority of the coal is present. So, if the coal is present in mostly in the Chota Nagpur plateau, means majority of the coal based power plants will be in the central India. So, it will be more successful. So, coal based power plant, then comes thermal power plant, then comes your hydroelectricity project. Hydroelectricity project in general, obviously hydroelectricity project will fall in two categories. So, the large scale hydroelectricity project, that is your part of multi-purpose river valley project. So multi-purpose river valley projects were the projects which were almost promoted in the 50s to 80s, but later on due to the environmental concern, ecological destruction, most of these, the multi-purpose river valley projects are not being promoted in the present time. So in the present time period, multi-purpose river valley projects are not being promoted. So in consequence to that, even the thermal power plants, we are not promoting that. We are not promoting the thermal power plants. We are of course promoting the small scale hydro project, but again the small scale hydro project where you will have the more potential. So when you will look out the small scale hydroelectricity project, then you will find small scale hydroelectricity project potential is more in case of northern area, in Himalaya. So in Himalaya, you will have more potential for the small scale hydroelectricity project. It will be clean energy comparatively, it will be a clean energy and it will help in the generation. But again, in case of hilly area, the landscape, that whole area is ecologically more sensitive. So if the ecologically more sensitive, so whatever the level of, might be it's a small scale hydroelectricity, so it is not going to have large scale phenomena like a problem of earthquake and all. But yes, even for the small scale also you need to go for the deforestation. So already the slope is so steep and we are facing multiple instances of landslide, avalanches. So in the backdrop of that, we could not afford to go for this small scale hydroelectricity projects also. But energy is more important, the people's benefit, the people's development is more important. Then what should be done? In case of southern India, large scale multi-purpose river valley projects are giving a good result, and also it is not prudent to go for the small scale hydroelectricity project. So this is this is how you need to think, you need to analyze. Now in case of hilly area, what is the good solution? So if we are not encouraging the thermal based power plant, because the thermal based power plant will be easy to run, the only problem will be that to get the supply of the coal. So coal की uninterrupted अगर supply है, production है, there will not be problem. The only problem will be associated with the greenhouse gas. तो क्योंकि हम clean energy produce करना चाहते हैं, because we are very much concerned about the global warming, climate change. So in that backdrop, we need to shift from this coal based thermal power plant to some cleaner form. So in the cleaner form, we have identified the small scale hydro project, but small scale hydro projects is not also very much sustainable in case of hilly area, in case of northern area. So the only way out is your cleaner form of energy or the renewable form of the energy. So the potential is more for the renewable form of the energy. Now in the renewable form of the energy, what are the different form of the energy available in our country? As far as renewable form of the energy, we have primarily the two major sources of energy is available. Obviously, you can have a list of the renewable sources. You will have the solar, you will have the wind, you will have the biomass, you will have the tidal energy, you will have the other geothermal also. But the most sustainable, most tenable will be your wind energy and the solar energy. So primarily you will have the solar and wind energy sources that are present. Now out of this solar and wind energy, you need to identify that in which part of the country you will have more suitability of the solar, in which part of the country you will have more suitability of the wind. So when you will look out the wind energy, so the places like Rajasthan, western part of Rajasthan, western part of Gujarat, entire Gujarat, whole of this coastal area, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, all these areas are having more potential for the wind based energy production as compared to the solar. So it is more prudent, So these are the area where we need to focus on the wind. Whereas the remaining part of the country, the central India, the northern India, particularly your hilly area, the remaining part of interior part of the peninsula, we need to focus on the particularly solar. So this is a very you can say crude form, of course analyzing regional perspective bringing, but the crude form. तो जब आप सोचेंगे, जब आप let's say identify कर लिया that we need to look for the cleaner form of the energy, that is the future. So, cleaner form of energy is future. Cleaner form is the future. Also, as per INDC, India is supposed to produce 40% of its energy demand, 40% of energy demand from renewable by 2030. So, uske case we will have the two, that is solar and wind. Now, solar is more suitable in, you can say, most part of your northern plain, northern mountains, interior part of peninsula. So, these are the, you can say, area which is more suitable for the solar. For the wind, it is more on the coastal area, western Rajasthan. So, these are the areas. Now, this analysis is a, you can say, giving us some regional, but bring some, try to link with some other things that you must be knowing, because in general solar panels, whenever you will set up the solar panels, until unless you are settling up the solar panels on the rooftop, that is a different, but in general settling up the solar panel, it will require some land. So, land is very precious. Land, you must have an idea about how the land is being utilized in our country. Our net sown area is one of the highest in the world. Around 142 million hectare of our area is the net sown area, and majority of this net sown area is present in the northern plain area, in the interior part of the peninsula, in the normal, in a different part of our peninsula. The point is that in case of northern plain, the most important economic activity is agriculture. Agriculture is the most economic activity and the soil is the most important resource. So, on top of it, we are not having the capability, or we cannot afford to lose some of our precious soil, fertile soil, for the just settling up of your particularly solar plants. So, these are something, these are the different things that you need to analyze when it is being asked that whether it is viable for the country like India or not. Everything is not just based on the that whether it is being supported by the government, or whether the government is giving the money or not. It is not only the investment, we also need to look out कि ठीक है हम एनर्जी तो दे देंगे, हम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी तो दे देंगे, लेकिन क्या होगा सॉइल का. So, this kind of analysis you need to know, this kind of knowledge, this kind of interlinking you need to know. One more thing. Let us say India is having a huge reserve of the coal. So, coal reserve is a huge, and already we have dropped our coal reliance to 52%, right. Only 52% we are extracting from the coal, and if we will continue to drop that, we need to understand that the cost of production will increases. Producing the electricity from the coal is very cheap as compared to other form of the electricity, and if the cost is increasing, ultimately it is the government that is investing, and government if only invest in the clean energy, what will happen to the other aspect, what will happen to the food security, what will happen to the particularly your employment, what will happen to the some of the other sources of employment. So, you also need to focus on that. So, abruptly writing that the throughout the country you can have the solar energy or you can have the wind energy, that will not be good, that will not be a good analysis. So, whenever you will write the answer, you need to take care of that, you need to take care of that. Few things I just wanted you for renewable sources, like information related to the solar energy. So, few solar and wind energy. So, in the form of energy diversification, the most important is your solar. Presently, government is targeting that solar energy government is targeting to install 100 gigawatts capacity of solar energy till 2022 and 280 gigawatt till 2030. For the wind energy, this target is 60 gigawatt for 2022 and 140 gigawatt for the 2030. So, this is the some objective. There was a very famous program that was launched in 2008-9, National Solar Mission. So, National Solar Mission has been launched initially and the target has been set that once 100 gigawatt of electricity energy should be produced from the solar. So, solar energy target has been set. Later on, this change has been transformed into the National Renewable Mission, and under that National Renewable Mission, the target has been increased to 175 gigawatt. So, it has been said that 2022 175 gigawatt electricity will be produced from the solar mission. The same has been almost increased to almost 500. So, 500 gigawatt target has been set up for 2030. For 2030. And out of 500, 280 for solar, 140 from the wind. So, 420 from the wind and solar. Few more important pointers, like earlier its name was the Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission, and later on presently it is known as National Renewable Mission. There is one very good information, please note down. The National Institute of Solar Energy estimates the country's solar potential at about 748 gigawatt. Country's solar potential at about 748 gigawatt, assuming that solar panels cover 3% of the wasteland. They covers 3% of the wasteland. Other than this National Solar Mission, there are few more missions. Quickly you can note it down. You will have the Srishti scheme. Srishti scheme, SRISTI. Sustainable rooftop implementation for solar transfiguration of India. So, under this scheme, the target is to set up 40 gigawatt rooftop solar capacity. Initially it was till 2019, but now it is 2022. Then there is a very famous scheme, Atal Jyoti Yojana. Atal Jyoti Yojana. Under Atal Jyoti Yojana, solar LED lights are being installed solar LED lights are being installed in rural, semi-urban and urban areas, which don't enjoy adequate coverage of power, Then one very interesting scheme that you should write, and definitely I will give you some food for thought. Or before that, first you can write solar or green cities. पहले ये लिखिए, solar or green cities. See, as I was telling you about, that initially our approach was the settling up of multi-purpose river valley project. From the multi-purpose river valley projects, we have shifted to the thermal waste plant. So हमने thermal waste plant set up किए almost entire 1960s to almost 2000. After the 2000, it has came to light that obviously this thermal power plant is not very useful for the perspective of global warming, but more importantly, providing the coal facility to these thermal power plants was becoming very problematic, and also there has been cases where transmission was comparatively lesser. Most of the equipments, most of the infrastructure that was being utilized were comparatively obsolete. So in that backdrop, government has shifted to a new form of the settling up of plants, and that is your ultra mega power plant. In the ultra mega power plants, initially the 4 ultra mega power plants have been set up, and the idea is that either it will be a coastal based or it will be interior. So in coast based thermal power plant, we will use the imported coal, and in interior we will use the domestic coal, right, in the domestic coal. And here we will use the critical technology to get the maximum energy. So almost the maximum energy we will extract from this critical technology. And along with that ultra mega power plants, also we have set up the solar parks. So shift has the whole orientation of production of energy has shifted to set up ultra mega power plants and also the solar park. So as per this scheme, different solar parks has been set up. Very famous you will have Ladakh city. Ladakh एक बहुत बड़ा example है to provide electricity to even the hilly terrain, some tough terrain. So we have very large scale solar parks in the Ladakh. Then you will have very famous Gujarat's Charanka solar park, Charanka, Charanka solar park. Then you will have Rajasthan's Bhadla solar park, Bhadla. So Rajasthan's Bhadla solar park. So these you can give the examples. Coming to the solar or green cities, you can write. The idea is that in most of the urban areas, minimum 10% of its energy demand should be fulfilled through renewable sources. All right, next please write Kusum Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Kusum Yojana, PM Kusum. Very innovative and people friendly scheme, especially for the rural farmer. Please write प्रधानमंत्री किसान ऊर्जा सुरक्षा, प्रधानमंत्री किसान ऊर्जा सुरक्षा एवं उत्थान महाभियान, उत्थान महाभियान। Now under the PM Kusum Yojana, the idea is to set up the solar pump. So set up the solar pumps in the rural area. Now this year if you will look out the rainfall pattern is almost not good for the farmers perspective. So we have changing rainfall pattern, and the rainfall pattern, if the rainfall pattern will change, obviously cropping season will get affected. So the farmers cropping season will get impacted, and if the cropping season is getting impacted, obviously the productivity will go down. So within that backdrop, the government and in time before the rainfall, mostly in the peak of pre-monsoon season or the dry season, the demand for energy goes manifold, because there will be a uneven heat wave situation. So we have a extreme heat wave situation, और उस heat wave situation में there will be a increase of domestic demand. So household demand of energy will increases. So household demand of energy will increases, and also the farmers required energy for the particularly your irrigation purpose. So if the farmers require energy for the irrigation purpose and the energy is not available, so how they will give the water to their plants, or how they will start preparing the field for the rice cultivation. So within that backdrop, it has been thought that the PM Kusum will sort out this problem. So it will be a solar pump, it will be a solar enabled pumping set, and the pumping set, through pumping set they will extract the water and they can go for the cultivation. It's a very good scheme, it's a very innovative scheme, and the idea is that not only it will run the pump, but also through that solar installed capacity, their domestic requirement of electricity, तो उनके घर में भी जो बिजली की requirement है वो भी fulfill हो जाएगी. So PM Kusum is very innovative scheme that you can write also, but here is a very important thing that you need to interlink. तो चाहे क्वेश्चन में पूछा गया, इफ इट इज सिंपली आस्किंग अबाउट द क्रिटिकली एनालाइज, तब तो आप लिख ही सकते हैं, बट अगर नहीं पूछा गया, जस्ट ट्राई टू इंटरलिंक. नाउ देयर इज अ टॉपिक कॉल्ड वाटर इश्यूज, एंड इंडिया इज हैविंग अ वेरी problematic situation, and it's not too exaggeration to say it like a water crisis. So India is facing a water crisis, problem of the groundwater depletion. In this water crisis, you will find the 80% of our groundwater requirement is for the irrigation purpose. तो जो सबसे बड़ी problem है for the water crisis is associated with the groundwater extraction, and the groundwater extraction is for what? For agriculture purpose. So 80% of our groundwater is utilized for agriculture purpose. तो जो सबसे बड़ी problem है water crisis की in our country is agricultural demand. एग्रीकल्चर ही सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लमैटिक है, और उसमें भी द टाइमिंग वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, टाइमिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. नाउ ऑलरेडी द एग्रीकल्चर इज प्रॉब्लमैटिक, एंड व्हेन देयर इज अ डिसरप्शन ऑफ द एनर्जी, तो एटलीस्ट फार्मर के ऊपर कुछ चेक है. द फार्मर इज नॉट यूटिलाइजिंग द वाटर कंटिन्यूअसली, सो दे आर नॉट एक्सट्रैक्टिंग द वाटर कंटिन्यूअसली व्हेन द वाटर लेवल इज सो लो, very low, primarily before the rainy season, before the monsoon season. अब अगर हम उसमें if we are providing them the solar installed solar enabled pump, so almost in a way we are saying farmers that you can extract the water anytime, and if the farmer is extracting the water anytime, it will further increase this problem, it will further almost you can say create more problem for our water. So yes, on one side our purpose, our objective is good. We want to make the farmer more, you can say, strengthened, where they will have the choice. They can extract the water and they can prepare the field, go for the agriculture purpose, because the agriculture is very important, food security is associated, linked with that. लेकिन उतना ही जरूरी है हमारा कंजर्वेशन ऑफ वाटर. सो कंजर्वेशन ऑफ वाटर, सो कंजर्वेशन ऑफ वाटर should not be hampered by this energy security. So this form of the energy security also we need not to promote. We need to have a check on that. Then there is a International Solar Alliance. So International Solar Alliance is mostly on the line of one sun, one world, one grid. So this International Solar Alliance, with the mostly initiative of India and French government. So India and France, later on almost 140 countries have been party to that International Solar Alliance, and later on it has been extended to this one sun, one world and one grid. So all the members of ICA, the idea is that there should be a single grid and the electricity will be almost shared. So these are some of the issues related to that. Then also you will have the cleaner form of the energy, like National Hydrogen Energy Mission. So National Hydrogen Energy Mission has also been launched, and the idea is to just extract the some of the energy from the hydrogen. Hydrogen happens to be the very lighter, very widely available, but more importantly, when we are producing the energy through the renewable sources, wastage of renewable sources. So that will be your hydrogen mission objective. We will get some of the content related to that. You can read from it. So these are some of the important discussion related to the energy, and other than this data information, always try to look out like where most of the coal plants are located. So some of the coal plants, like you will have the Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, different coal mines are there. Then some of the thermal power plants that are present in our country, because when you will have the thermal power plants list, which you will find in your atlas, not necessarily that you should you should remember all the thermal power plant, but at least some of the power plants that is there. Obviously it will give more presentation. It will give more presentation. So regional approach आएगा, लेकिन उसके साथ में I think I might have been successful in giving you some direction that how you need to think, or the most interesting thing about the human geography, most interesting thing about the human and economic geography is that the information that I am giving are the information that you will get to know. I am sure that 70 to 80% of the information is known to most of the candidate. तो यहाँ पे information का game नहीं है, यहाँ पे है that how you are approaching, whether you are bringing that regional approach, whether you are analyzing in that manner, and you are giving the example or interlinkages properly or not. So that will play a major role in this. So these are some of the issues related to energy. Water issues I will definitely take up in some other session. So that's it from my side. Thank you.